Novigrad's here. Syndicate is running amok. There's all kinds of crazy gang related crimes and butchery going on. And today we got to get our hands dirty with some of the new gangs and cards and leaders that are brand new to the set in the Novigrad expansion. And I wanted to share with you the deck, the first deck that I played that I really felt comfortable playing, that felt right and felt fun. We messed around a little bit with various leaders, and then we fell upon Cleaver and made an interesting Cleaver Shupe deck. And I want to make sure that I get to share it with you and you guys can sort of give it a run. Now, this is very early, obviously, in the expansion. The expansion's only a few hours old, so I figured it'd be cool to at least get something out ASAP and maybe hit the ground running. So here it is. This is Crime Does Pay. So there's lots of new leaders to try out, new cards to explore, and it's going to take a while before things sort of settle out and lists and leaders get their optimal versions and archetypes start to bubble to the top and the cream of the crop rises, right? So, but until then, we get to explore various different leaders and decks and archetypes. And I wanted to go ahead and show you this Cleaver deck that involves lots of crime and intimidation, and of course our good friend Shupe. So I'll go through the list and I'll give you a little bit about the breakdown of how it works. I haven't really brought this onto ranked, obviously not yet, because I only played a handful of games with it, but I did make a few adjustments to it. Excuse me, and this is the version of it that I think is a good starting point. So obviously you can make whatever choices and switches up that you want to do, but we'll go through again. This is all under the 15 provision umbrella of Cleaver, and here he is, Cleaver, sort of holding court over his gang. And what his deal is you can use his ability. His order is to play a special card of 9 provision or less. Now it increases by 1. That provision value increases by 1 for every 2 crimes that you play, similar to the Ardal Seize type ability of every 4 tactics. This is the same kind of ability. Same with Dana, where it goes up with every different Skewertooth family that you have. In this case, it's 1 per 2 crimes. So what special cards do you really want to pull out? Well, obviously you want to make sure that it has an impact, and at the same time you want to make sure that it has a definite immediate impact on the game, that it can swing the game in your favor. You want to use the Cleaver ability to really change the tide. So what are we doing? Well, what's the best special in the game that has the biggest impact? Typically, it's our good friend Shupe. So we're going to touch this one first, but it's a Shupe deck. And of course, Shupe has so many different tools in its arsenal to switch the game, to win games, and to really bail you out. So we need to get to that 13 provision ability for Cleaver, which means we need to increase his base provision cost pull by 4, meaning we need 8 crimes. So we're going to cruise through this. I'll tell you what the crimes are at the end, but we're going to go through the units first. All right, so first thing we've got is the Bareknuckle Brawler. This is a standard 4 for 4, but it's got Intimidate, which is great. And now what Intimidate does, of course, is every time you play a crime, it boosts by 1. I've got the Cut Up Lackey. The Cut Up Lackey is pretty damn good as well. What this guy does is whenever you play a crime, damage a random enemy by 1. Now it has the bonded ability of, if you have a second one, increase the damage by 1. But we're playing Shupe, so we'll never have a second one, will we? Yes, we will. It's a possibility, and I'll explain that later. All right, let's go to, I've got Crown Splitter Thug, another with the Intimidate tag. It's a 5 provision, 3 strength, deal 2 damage, but it's got Intimidate, so that ceiling could easily rise. I have the Tax Collector. This is a really good card that you just sort of drop. It's a non-committal card. It's a very proactive play. Throw it on the range row and start collecting coin for the bank. I've got Cleaver's Muscle. This is a crazy card. 5 for 5 with the shield. It's protected points. Now, I'll tell you why this card is pretty damn good, besides the vanilla aspect of just being a 5 for 5 with shield. It's a dwarf, and this is going to factor into one of our crimes later on. Keep that in mind. What else do I have? I have the Halfling Safecracker. The Halfling Safecracker is pretty much just profit 1, throw it down, boost by 1 for each crime in your hand. And you'll typically have 3 to 4 in your hand at a time, so he'll come down as a 7 plus profit, so that is some good value turnaround. I've got The Arena Ghoul. Arena Ghoul's really good. A 7 for 5, getting some good value. Deploy on turn and destroy itself, but if you pay 2 coins, you just cancel that deploy ability. So you don't want this to drop and die. You want to drop it and keep it on the board, obviously. It's 7 points, so it's protected beneath that 8-point tall removal window of Geralt, and you also don't have to pay an arm and a leg in order to pay the tribute cost. Coins in this deck are not typically too important. You're not using them as engine pieces necessarily. It's typically just to pay for one-time abilities, much like this. I have the Horson's Freakshow, which in my opinion is one of the coolest cards in terms of art. Whoever the artist does, or whoever rendered this animation, congratulations, because this is a beautiful card. So what this does is Insanity. We know what Insanity does. It means that if you can't pay coin, you pay life. But it's a 6 for 6 with directed bleed damage for coins that you pay. Now, the cool part about this is that if you have a bunch of leftover coins, you can go ahead and use Horson's Freakshow all at once. And what that means is that if, let's say, you have 5 coins left over and no real way to spend them, you can go ahead and drop 1 bleed on 5 different units for an extra 5 spot damage, just like that, at the end of the opponent's turn. So that 6 is going to translate that leftover bank into a lot of return in terms of damage on your opponent's side. Not to mention that you can go ahead and use his own ability to spot remove something that's important. So this is a great card, one of the better ones from the expansion. I've got Kurt. Kurt is just a versatile card with Intimidate again, lock or purify. You'll want to lock some stuff, but you'll also want to purify your own units in certain cases as well. And it's got the Intimidate, so it'll get a higher ceiling value as well. Sir Skewertooth is one of my favorite sort of under the radar cards. Intimidate 2, Tribute 4, gain immunity. Intimidate 2, meaning every crime you pay, this grows by 2. So right off the bat, if you play this and get the immunity, great. If not, whatever. But if you pay this and then play 2 crimes, let's say, this becomes a 9 for 8 with potential immunity attached to it. This could really become an issue for your opponent late game when you're just, rattling off crime after crime after crime, and this becomes a big untouchable unit because of the immunity. I really like this. This is sort of snowballed big time, and my opponent had no answer to it. There's been games where I've had this on the board, and it was the tallest unit. My opponent had to play just a Geralt with no target because my 11 or 12 point Skewertooth was just, untouchable. I've got Adriano the Mimic. Now, simple. This is our boy Runa here. It's a 6, 8 provision, 6 strength, so you're getting pretty good value of body for the strength. But tribute 5, spawn a Sly Seductress, and the Sly Seductress is really darn good just to have at your side. Profit 2, pay the tribute 5 if you need to. This is a solid card once you've got some coin in the bank. I also have Furko the Sculptor. This is one of those cards that can be very timely if you have a crime card in your deck that you need. I usually play this with something like Pickpocket, or the other one that I use it for is Novigradian Justice. But as a proactive play, and I took him out of the deck. Regardless, we'll get back to him. As a proactive play, he's a really good card because you can go ahead, hit Pickpocket to put some coin in your bank proactively, hit Novigradian Justice to play some bodies on the board. It's a solid play. Madame Louisa. Wow, she looks like, my goodness, Bam Bam Bigelow, King Kong Bundy. Regardless, I'm not going to comment further, but 6 body for 9. Your next tribute is going to be free, and there's going to be a bunch of tributes that cost some coins. So also with the Intimidate factor, so she will get bigger, but she will pay for the tribute of Skewertooth. She'll pay for the tribute of Adriano the Mink. So you'll have those options. Furthermore, Sausage Maker, Intimidate, Profit, and Resilience. Now the cool part about this, don't forget, is that you can activate the fee 2 rounds in a row. So you can drop this on turn 1. If you know you're gonna have bank moving forward, you could pay the fee and get this resilient from round 1, 2, and then through to round 3. Intimidate grows it. I like this card in this deck. Horson Senior in this case is a deploy, transform an adjacent into a cut up lackey. Tribute 3, transform into adjacent units into cut up lackeys instead. So You can do it to both adjacent units, or you can just do it to the one if you don't pay the tribute. Also has Intimidate. But there we go. Suddenly the bonded ability of every time you play a crime, they're damaging by 2 apiece. This is crazy synergy and does a crap ton of damage. So Horson Senior is in the books as well. And that should pretty much wrap up the cards that we got there. And let me just go ahead and find that one crime card. There it is. We'll put them back in there. All right, so we'll go through the crimes now. And again, since it's Shupe, there's going to be tons of them. But I've got Swindle, Profit, a random map of 4 and 6. It's one of those, if you win round 1 and you need to burn some cards off, play that card to go ahead and put some coin in the bank to carry over. Bloody Good Fun is great as well. Profit 3, spend all your coins. This is a pick and choose card, but it is a crime, so you will need it. But this could do at the minimum, it's doing 3 damage. And if you need a way to make use of the coins that you otherwise would not be able to, this is a good option for you. Slander, Profit 3, place a bounty on an enemy unit. You will be able to kill some stuff with this deck, and that's just another 4 provision crime that also adds coin to the bank and puts a bounty to, again, you'll be able to kill things, and it's gonna be good times. Beyond that, Payday. Payday is just damage a unit by 2 death blow, gain 5 coins. 5 provision crime with a lot of these two strength cards that are popping out. You shouldn't have too much of an issue finding bodies with 2 health, be it Dwarven Agitators or Dryads or stuff like that to begin with, or little Ekamaras and such. So you shouldn't have a problem finding targets with this. If not, you'll have ways to sort of pick and choose damage to tailor it so you can get the death blow benefits. Beyond that, Wheel of Fortune, my goodness. So I've had some whiffs and I've had some home runs with this. I've hit a 10-point unit with 2 damage, and I've cleared a 7 or 8 point unit right off the board with this card. So pick and choose again. I mean, you could roll the dice, and it's a lot of fun to make this happen. But I suspect that there are going to be instances where you jump for joy, and other ones where you're pulling your hair out playing this card. But regardless, I like it. It's another crime, and it could really save the day. I also have Eavesdrop. Eavesdrop, Profit 4, draw a card, put a card at the bottom of your deck. Profit 4, again, put some coin in the bank. Another crime card. And this also helps you fix bad draws. Throw a bronze card at the bottom of the deck that you don't necessarily want or need. It's not put on top of your deck, it's put at the bottom, so you'll never see it again unless you have to somehow magically shuffle your deck. But that's how that works. We've got Eavesdrop. Beyond that, Tavern Brawl. Force an enemy unit to duel an adjacent unit. You could get really lucky with this, but this is also pretty good to really sponge some damage off of cards that are next to each other. I'm not a huge fan of this, but it is good for some lucky removal depending on how your opponent lines stuff up. You can usually get about 6 to 7 value off of it with some targeted removal. But a card that duels an adjacent unit usually means that your opponent has to sort of fall into that trap, ideally for you to get max value off of it. Still a good card, though, and it's a crime that we're going to throw in here. Beyond that, last one is Novigrad Justice. So what this does is play a bronze card from your deck. If it is a dwarf, spawn a copy of it and summon it to the same row. Now, we do have 2 dwarves in here, and this is a good tutor card. You'd think that 11 points to tutor out a bronze card is not that great. Well, we have 2 dwarves in here that would love to come out and double up, and I'll show you which ones. Now, your first target for this is obviously going to be something that can sort of roll into points, and what we pull out with that is going to be the Bareknuckle Brawlers. So this is kind of like the Crown Splitter version of Waters of Broccolon, where you get 2 fledglings. Instead, you're getting 2 Bareknuckle Brawlers side by side. What they do then is they snowball on every single crime card that you play, and it's a nice little engine piece that thins out a bronze card out of your deck, gives you a nice board presence with engine pieces to work with, and then you go from there. I really like that card. It has helped establish board presence early. It's good proactive, and that's not the only target for it, because in case you somehow magically draw your Bareknuckle Brawler and you need another target for that card, the next ideal target is going to be the Cleaver's Muscle, because it does the same thing. This is another dwarf. You pull out the Cleaver's Muscle, you double them up. So for 11 provisions, you're getting 2 5-point bodies with shield. That's a solid return on that, plus the thinning aspect as well. There's the deck list all coming together with Shupe to save the day. I really had fun playing this deck. I'll go through it again. Your basic strategy with this, I mean, I can't really give you an in-depth look at it, because in reality what I did was I put it together, I changed a few things, and I kind of went off with it and played. And in the couple hours that I played with this deck, we won some, we lost some, but I definitely think that this deck might have a little bit of some hidden power to it that needs working on. Still, it can be changed to your liking, and we'll go through it again. So I have one Bareknuckle Brawler. Again, it's all one-ofs, it's Shupe. So Bareknuckle Brawler, Cut Up Lackey, Swindle, Bloody Good Fun. I have Slander, Crown Splitter Thug, Halfling Safecracker, Tax Collector, Cleaver's Muscle, Arena Ghoul, Payday, Eavesdrop, Wheel of Fortune, Whoreson's Freakshow. I have Pickpocket. I have Tavern Brawl, Kurt, Sir Skewertooth, Adriano the Mink, Furco the Sculptor, Madame Louisa the Sausage Maker, Whoreson Senior, Novigrad Justice, and Shupe's Day Off. All together, they are under our good friend Cleaver, who is the leader of the Crowd Splitters. So there it is. That is Crime Does Pay. Have a good time. Go ahead, drop a lot of these cards like Cut Up Lackey, Bareknuckle Brawler. You'll be able to set up a lot of things. In terms of your late game push, usually you want to try to save Shupe. You can pull him out with Cleaver. Have a good time, and tell me what you think about it. You know, if there's any crimes in this that you think are be better or worse, but that's what I'm using, and this is what I enjoy. So give it a shout and let me know what you think. That's the list. That's Crime Does Pay. There's still so much to explore in Novigrad. All kinds of different leaders, factions, gangs, all that craziness is going to essentially, hopefully, you know, completely shake up the meta and turn everything on its head. And we'll see how this shakes out real soon. Nonetheless, in the meantime, at least you got something to play with. Let me know what you think of the deck. Leave the comments here on YouTube. I always appreciate everything that you guys say. And if it's, you know, constructive and well put, I usually just go ahead and reply, and we can have a discussion. If you want to be a jerk, then it's up to you. I don't care. Regardless, thank you so much for watching, and hit the subscribe button. Tell me what you think. And yeah, I'm always open to suggestions for card replacements, or how you have been piloting the deck and what makes it good or bad, or how you would improve it. Thanks again for watching. Thank you so much. You can catch me Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Twitch at twitch.tv/watchflake. On Twitter, same deal. And thank you so much. Be kind to one another. Adios.